dad. Do it look like his son supposed to be taking his dad? I don't even feel right. Y'all hear this sound? Oh, Tank don't pay his coach.
Tank has never been one to hold back, and after his draw with Lamont Roach, he's making it clear his camp needs a major shakeup. The decision to split from his longtime trainer, Calvin Ford, already shocked fans. But now there's talk that even his new trainer, Barry Hunter, might be out. It's a move no one saw coming, especially considering how close Tank and Ford were. Now, people are wondering, is this the right call, or is frustration taking over?
One in the gym, the last one out the gym. Tank used to sit on the ring like this and watch me train him.
How old is he at this point?
He was like 7, 8.
Okay.
A lot of
Ford wasn't even in Tank's corner for the Roach fight, which raised some eyebrows. But now, Tank is making it clear he's moving in a different direction. He says Ford should focus on his family and younger fighters, while he enters a new phase in his career. According to Tank, it's not personal. At least, that's what he's saying. But Ford isn't buying it. "This ain't about me," Ford reportedly told someone close to the situation. "It's about Tank. And right now, he's just looking for someone to blame."
Something we gotta work on in the corner, for sure.
For Ford, this isn't just about boxing. He took Tank in as a kid, shaped him into a champion, and now, just like that, he's being pushed aside. Fighters wanting change is one thing, but to Ford, this feels different, a betrayal. A sign that maybe Tank doesn't fully grasp how much Ford did to get him here. The Roach fight didn't go as planned, but was that really about training? Or was there something deeper? Ford already knows his answer.
He been with me since I was 7. I used to sleep in Coach Calvin's house. I used to sleep at his job when he was working at a seafood.
Where you lose focus. You start thinking you got all the answers. That's when things go left, Ford said. Clearly frustrated. This fight didn't go his way. So now it's like, let me clean house. But you don't throw away your family. That's what hurts the most. Ford never saw his role in Tank's life as just a job. He wasn't just holding pads and coming up with strategies. He was there when Tank had nothing, keeping him on track when distractions tried to pull him away. And now, after one tough night in the ring, all of that is being tossed aside. No wonder Ford is upset.
Calvin is Calvin, you know what I mean? I got Calvin tatted on me. Calvin ain't going nowhere. Y'all don't even know Calvin for CCO. I know Calvin, you know what I mean? Y'all don't know. Calvin's pops. He ain't going nowhere. I got that nigga tatted on me.
Barry Hunter, who stepped in to help Tank prepare for Roach, has been in boxing long enough to know fighters make changes when things don't go their way. But even he is surprised at how fast this is happening. Tank's looking at everything around him, trying to figure out what went wrong, Hunter said. And right now, it looks like he's thinking of new trainers, a new team, new everything. But is that really the issue? Hunter hasn't said much publicly, but his words hint that he knows what's coming. If Tank is really cleaning house, Hunter might not be safe either. That's what makes this so unpredictable.
That's just because of Tank's comment, because he was asked if Coach Calvin was in his corner. He said, "We'll see."
Right, because it's nobody's business, but, you know, he didn't mean anything by that, you know?
Facts. There you go.
They forever family.
There you go. Enough said.
Tank is serious about completely overhauling his camp. He's going to need an entirely new team, and that's not always easy for a fighter of his level. The truth is, the Roach fight wasn't supposed to be a struggle. Tank was expected to dominate, make a statement, and remind everyone why he's one of the most dangerous fighters in the sport. Instead, he found himself in a fight that exposed weaknesses and raised tough questions. Did he take Roach lightly? Did he train the right way? Was something off in camp? These are the questions Tank is asking himself. And right now, his answer seems to be, I need something new.
So everything is good with Calvin because it's the first time he's not the head trainer in a while.
Yeah, for sure. Calvin, again, I said Calvin's pops, you know what I mean? He will always be around, you know what I mean?
So everything is good with Calvin? It's the first time he hasn't been your head trainer in a while. Yeah, for sure. Calvin again. I told y'all Calvin is pops. You know what I mean? He'll always be around. You know what I mean?
And the story's gonna rebuild itself, you know. But again, that's how you burn bridges. Somebody said this is the true colors of a person that's coming out, man. They can't stand it, you know. Calm is I don't like using that word calm, you know, but our Lord knows. He knows.
Ford sees it differently to him. Tank isn't looking at the real issue himself. You gotta ask, was it the trainer or was it the fighter? Ford said, Because last time I checked, nobody threw a single punch that night except him. That's the real tension in all this. Ford believes Tank lost focus. Maybe after years of being told he's great, he started believing talent alone was enough. Maybe the hunger isn't the same. Maybe this isn't about trainers at all, but about a fighter who needs to take a long, hard look in the mirror. Hunter, while more diplomatic, seems to share that view. Tank's at a point in his career where he's got to decide what kind of fighter he wants to be, and switching trainers ain't always the answer.
Doing. Better now, champ. Better now. Sound good? Ready for Saturday? So excited, man. That's right. Oh, born ready. Huh? Oh, man. What can I say, man? Of course, Tank, somebody that's been in the gym since he was a little baby, so we real familiar with him. Camp was beautiful. Yeah.
But Tank isn't backing down. He's certain that changes need to be made, that he needs a team fully focused on what's next. There's even talk that he's eyeing a big-name trainer, someone who's coached multiple world champions before. Names are already being thrown around, and it's clear Tank wants to shake things up in a major way. But not everyone thinks this is the right call. Some in the boxing world believe he's making a mistake cutting off the people who know him best just because things didn't go his way. Others see it as a natural evolution. Great fighters make tough choices, and sometimes that means leaving the past behind.
You got 5 judges. There's no way you ever gonna get a split. You know what I'm saying? Because it gotta always be one be that deciding factor. Because with 3, it's like majority. You know what I mean? So, all right, if 3...
But the real question is, will this actually make him better? Or is frustration clouding his judgment? Ford has made it clear he won't beg to stay in Tank's corner. I did my job, he said. I took him from nothing to the top. What he does now, that's on him. He's a grown man. Meanwhile, Hunter is waiting to see how things play out. He's not the type to push himself into a situation where he's not wanted. But he also knows boxing is unpredictable. Tank could change his mind. Cooler heads could prevail. But as of now, it looks like Hunter is out too, leaving Tank in a very interesting position. Tank is making a bold move, betting on himself and bringing in fresh voices. But if things don't go his way in the next fight, where does he go from there? Once you start cutting ties, once you break bonds built over years, there's no turning back. Ford, despite his frustration, isn't angry, just disappointed. I just want him to realize what he's doing, he said. Because at the end of the day, when all these new people come and go, who's really going to be there? That's the question Tank hasn't answered yet. Meanwhile, Lamont Roach Jr. isn't wasting any time after their controversial draw. He's already pushing hard for a rematch ASAP.
What was going through your mind when you heard the decision?
Nobody like a draw, you know, from a guy that get knockouts and things like that, but it's cool. I feel like if we fight again, I could do more.
Taking to social media, Roach called himself a pound-for-pound talent and made it clear he's more than ready to prove it again. With pressure from Roach building, public demand rising, and unresolved controversy from their first fight, a rematch is already being discussed for May much sooner than expected. And that's where things get tricky for Tank. If he's serious about overhauling his camp, this might not be the best time. A rematch on such short notice means quick adjustments, and making drastic changes in the middle of that process could backfire. Instead of fixing what went wrong against Roach, he might create new problems by rushing into an unfamiliar system with new trainers.
Let's hear what he got to say right now.
Important question on everyone's mind: how close is the rematch? How big will it be? How close is it to getting done?
Very close. It's in my mind, it's a done deal, but there are formalities, but it's a done deal, and it's not far off.
Roach believes he won the first fight, and he's carrying that confidence into rematch negotiations. Even though I didn't get the result I deserved, I was part of a sold-out crowd that broke the record for the highest grossing event in Barclays Center history. Roach wrote on Instagram, "I show that I'm a pound-for-pound talent against a generational star." He has all the momentum. Unlike Tank, he's not making any drastic changes. He's building on what worked last time. His camp is steady, his team is sharpening their strategy. Meanwhile, Tank is at a crossroads, questioning everything from his preparation to his corner. And while he may feel justified in making these changes, the timing might be his biggest challenge.
No, I think Lamont's going to push more, but I think that even gives Tank a little bit more openings to maybe even finish the job better. But it goes to show you, I mean, hey, the hunger needs to be there. And I think Tank probably needed this too to kind of boost that up. It's a great fight. I look forward to it. I look forward to the rematch. God willing, it's done.
If the rematch happens in May, Tank will have just 2 months to settle into a new camp if he even finalizes his team in time. That's not just risky, it's a gamble. Fighters usually need months to adjust to a new trainer, to learn their system, and build the chemistry needed for fight night. Tank won't have that luxury. He'll be stepping into a high-stakes rematch while still figuring out what works and what doesn't with his new setup. It's a dangerous spot to be in, especially given how the first fight played out. Roach proved he could push Tank in ways few others have.
I think he is going to be a little more aggressive because he said that Tank couldn't punch, so he figured he could take Tank's punches. So I think he is going to try to be a little more aggressive, which could, like Dub said, can open him up to get hit with a big shot because you kept that left hand.
And he wasn't just trying to survive, he was setting the pace, frustrating the Baltimore star and keeping control of the fight. Then came the 9th round controversy. Tank took a knee and ran to his corner to get his face wiped. Instead of calling it a knockdown, referee Steve Willis let the fight continue. Fans and analysts were left questioning what really happened. Even days later, the New York State Athletic Commission gave a weak explanation, blaming technical issues for not reviewing the moment in real time. That only made things worse. Now, the rematch isn't just another fight for Roach, it's personal. He wants to finish what he started. Tank, on the other hand, has options. He doesn't have to take this fight right now. A showdown with Shocker Stevenson or Devin Haney would bring him bigger money and give him time to rebuild his team.
He take a knee. You need to lose like 10-8 that round at least, no? And plus the corner go up and put a towel in the face. That's a disqualification for sure. I'm talking about the rules, but you know.
There's even talk about a fight with Jake Paul one. That would bring insane pay-per-view numbers. But there's also pride at stake. Tank isn't happy with how things ended against Roach. He knows people are questioning him, and a fighter of his caliber can't just let that slide. If he walks away from the rematch, it might look like he's running from it. That's not the reputation he wants. In fact, that pressure might be the reason he's considering jumping right back in. Meanwhile, Barry Hunter, who worked with Tank for the Roach fight, is in an uncertain position. With Tank shaking up his camp, Hunter could be gone just as quickly as he was brought in. That adds even more chaos to the mix. If the rematch happens in May, who will be in Tank's corner?
Did Gervonta Davis lose to Roach? Yes, he did. Even without that whole bizarre situation where Davis took a knee, which should have been scored as a knockdown in Roach's favour, I believe Roach still edged it. Should he have been fighting Roach in the first?
If both Calvin Ford and Barry Hunter are out, Tank will be stepping into the ring with an entirely new team, one that hasn't been tested under real pressure. Most fighters wouldn't take that risk. But Tank isn't like most fighters. His whole career has been about proving people wrong, showing up when everyone expects him to fall short. Maybe that's what he's counting on again. Maybe he believes his raw talent will be enough, even without a settled camp. But Roach isn't here to play around. He's hungrier than ever and feels like the first fight proved he belongs at the top. He's not giving Tank time to regroup. He's pushing for the rematch before Tank can fully recover and before he can find his rhythm again. It's a smart strategy, one that might give Roach the edge.
Even without the knee, that should have been a knockdown. I thought I should have won a competitive fight. I think I did what I needed to do necessary to bank the rounds. I'm just a little frustrated with the scorecards. I thought I should have won.
And that's what makes this fight so risky for Tank. His camp is already in chaos, and now Roach is forcing him into a quick rematch. If Tank wins, all the doubts disappear, and he moves forward stronger than ever. But if he loses, everything changes. A loss to Roach wouldn't just be a minor setback, it would be devastating. It would shake his reputation as one of boxing's biggest stars. People would start questioning whether he made the right choice in changing his team right now. All the pressure is on him. Roach has nothing to lose and everything to gain.
Hey, can't even see who it is. Hey, who is the dude? Who is the dude?
And that right there is why Gervonta Davis.
It's been a rough stretch for Tank Davis. What should have been a triumphant night, a sold-out fight against Lamont Roach Jr., turned into a controversial draw. His undefeated record now has a blemish, and the frustration from that night hasn't faded. Roach is still pushing for a rematch, and fans are still debating whether Tank really deserved that result. But now, as talks about a rematch in May heat up, Tank is facing another problem: legal trouble. For someone who should be focused on his career in the ring, Tank is once again dealing with courtroom drama. A Baltimore judge just spared him jail time after he admitted to violating his probation from a 2020 hit-and-run Casa crash that injured 4 people. Instead of sending him to jail, the judge extended his probation by 18 months and ordered him to pay a $10,000 donation. Even with that decision, this latest legal issue is just another distraction for the WBA lightweight champion. Now the big question is, how will this affect the rematch with Roach? And even more importantly, is Tank in the right headspace to make the changes he needs before stepping back in the ring? Adjusting sparring partners, tweaking strategy, improving conditioning, these things take time. 2 months might not be enough, especially with his probation issues and legal distractions. Tank has already shown that discipline outside the ring is a struggle for him. And now, at the most critical moment, he's juggling court dates, public scrutiny, and career decisions. The pattern is hard to ignore. The first Roach fight ended in controversy. Then, Tank unexpectedly split from Calvin Ford. Now, legal troubles are creeping back in. If he wanted a smooth path to the biggest fights of his career, this is the exact opposite.
I'm not sure, bro. I'm definitely sure, but hopefully we can get it before. It probably won't be this year.
Is that the one you want next?
This interview when to rematches are all about adjustments. If a fighter comes into the second fight with the same game plan, history usually repeats itself. That's why Roach is so eager for the rematch. He believes he already has the blueprint to beat Tank. But here's the challenge. If the rematch happens in May, Tank will have just 2 months to make real changes to his camp. With everything else going on in his life, that might not be enough time. Tank has never been the kind of fighter to overhaul his team after a tough fight. He's been loyal to his longtime trainer, Calvin Ford, and his style has worked for him. However, the Roach fight exposed real weaknesses. Tank tends to take it easy in the early rounds and only turns up the pressure late in the fight. If he wants to shut down the doubters and dominate in the rematch, he might need a new approach. But can he afford to make major changes this close to fight night?
He got good skills. That's why he's here. I think he's 25-0 with 10 knockouts. So I think he's a A+ fighter.
Or even without the legal issues, an immediate rematch with Roach might not be the smartest move. Fighters usually need time to analyze their mistakes and improve. Tank barely has that luxury. Meanwhile, Roach is treating this rematch like the opportunity of a lifetime. He's already back in training, sharpening his skills, and reviewing every second of their first fight. He knows exactly what he needs to adjust. Tank, on the other hand, has been dealing with court cases, probation violations, and career drama. The worst mistake he could make is underestimating his opponent. He already walked into the first fight unprepared, assuming he could take his time and still win. If he repeats that mistake, this time he might walk away with his first loss instead of another disputed decision.